All right, December 22nd, workout breakdown. I apologize in advance if my voice sounds raspy or I cough. I've been working with this voice thing for a minute here, this throat situation for a minute. Cardio day or interval day, I don't know why this keeps happening. Like, it's complete fluke. I think this is the third week in a row it happens, or not. I guess that's not true because we don't do intervals. It just feels like every time intervals rolls around, I make a video on interval day, but we don't talk about intervals because we're not going to. So we're going to skip over the intervals. 3 minutes to warm up. A little bit shorter than I like it to be. I just don't, we've been doing a couple 5-minute warm-ups, and I just don't know that people need the 5 minutes or use the entire 5 minutes. So I wanted to save a few minutes for this workout, and for the next block, you'll see in a second. And I did it here. So when you guys, if you watch this video going into it, this is coming, so you'll have a little bit of extra wiggle room if you want to start the warm-up, the running part of the warm-up. With a couple minutes to go in the original 10-minute warm-up. That's probably not a bad idea, especially if you want to take the next part as serious as possible. Now, I try to, especially when it's running, give you guys warm-up time for the run. It just doesn't always work that way. But in a perfect world, you would have a little bit of time extra on top of the 10-minute warm-up to warm up for, especially if it's an aggressive run. So apologize if, in the future you see that and you're like, why didn't I get extra time? Sometimes it just doesn't fit. But you guys do have a 10-minute warm-up where, again, if you have knowledge going into it or the coach lets you know that, 10 minutes is enough time that you could take 2 or 3 minutes to get yourself situated to run. 2-minute EMOM, again, tracking it. Remember, like these 2-minute EMOMs on every piece of equipment is something I'm really trying to drill into everybody's head, mine included, what you're really capable of. And I really wanted to explain this. So it fits really well into this VO2 Max month, but it's a little bit different. So my initial thought for these 2-minute EMOMs was typically when we do stuff, we do it on a repeatable scale. And it came clear to me that not everybody knows, most people don't know what they're capable of, let alone on a repeatable scale. So these 2-minute EMOMs not only were a great aerobic floor builder per se, but it gave you guys the opportunity to reference the knowledge to learn what you were capable of on a repeatable scale. So not only was it great for building your aerobic floor up, but it allowed you to understand what you could and couldn't do for all the other workouts, that we run, bike, ski, and row, etc. Now, in terms of VO2 Max month, this is really capacity work, but it definitely falls under the umbrella of ceiling work. And I kind of leave it open-ended to what you want to do. So, if it was true ceiling work, you wouldn't be trying to repeat the same distance every single round, right? But that's not my initial intent, like I just explained, behind the 2-minute EMOMs. It is to let you guys understand what you can repeat every single time at your max. So it's not traditional floor work, right? Like floor work is a repeatable, sustainable, I can recover, I'm not dying or redlining. Whereas this one is like, no, I want you guys to go max, but what is the most you can handle in a sustainable effort, right? What is the max red line that you're capable of turning around in the shortest amount of recovery possible and repeating that distance? So when you go into this, you can do kind of one of two things. You can either approach it as it's meant to be approached, because these are going to go on for forever, where VO2 Max month isn't. So if you're still unsure of what you can and can't do, like I'd probably push you to go off what you've done in the past, right? I try to do these once, twice a month, somewhere in that ballpark. It doesn't always work out perfectly, but everybody should be familiar with this to a degree. Hopefully you have something written down or memorized, hopefully written down. And you guys are just, what's the most you can handle on a repeatable scale that gets you as far as possible. So at max, like that's how it should be done for the future. If you want to treat it like VO2 Max month and get your ceiling kind of work out of it, like your legitimate ceiling work, then you're trying to go as far as you can every single 2 minutes with just enough time to recover, turn around, and go again, right? You can't just run for 2 straight minutes and get to 490 meters and then the clock goes off and you go again. Like you still have to give yourself wiggle room to recover from the sustained output, right? That's the whole point of the capacity stuff. So you got kind of like 1 or 2 options there. I'm sure somebody can make up a third option that doesn't really fit what we're trying to do here. But, if you're watching this, hopefully you choose one of those 2. You walk into this with a plan, an idea. And in best case scenario, you're going off of what you've done in the past. As, again, the goal for these repeatable EMOMs is for you guys to get a better and better understanding of what you're capable of on an individual level. The EMOM at the bottom, the 5-minute plank. I think a lot of people view these planks, I'd go on a limb and say they're just like random time fillers or busy work. Like I hate busy work. I think, I would like to think everybody knows that by now. I love putting core or trunk related stuff when you guys are pre-exhausted and tired. Like, I think training your trunk and your abdomen when you are not under full composure, like not at homeostasis, your heart rate's elevated, and you have to learn to stabilize and breathe under that pressure is highly valuable. So that's why I really wanted, back to the 3 minutes, I really wanted extra time to fit this in there. So how this is going to work is on the end of the 5th round of the 2-minute EMOM, if it's taking you a minute 50 to finish your run, which is very likely, by the way, the clock's just going to roll right into the EMOM. So you're going to either get to the first round late, maybe you have to skip the first round if you're really gassed, but my thought process is you'll try to get to that first round and at least do a little bit of that first round, because the most value you're going to get out of this is that transition into stabilizing your trunk. Ideally, hips tilted forward, posterior tilt, trunk fully contracted, and trying to get your breathing back under control. That's going to happen in those first 2 minutes of the EMOM, maybe first 3 minutes of the EMOM, especially if you're being hyper aggressive on this 2-minute EMOM, which you're supposed to be, right? So that's why that EMOM, the planking EMOM, immediately follows the run. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. I know I sound like shit. A 2-minute EMOM, alternating 2-minute EMOM. I'm actually pretty excited about this. This is going to roll really well. This goes hand in hand with what I just talked about in this block. So with the planking immediately following the running, here it's the farmer's carries and the jump rope tied in with the biking, which, as we all know, transitioning off the bike is really hard, and doing it into something where you got to keep the integrity of your spine in place with the farmer's carry and taxing your grip strength and your traps, all while trying to get your breathing back under control, and then doing something else on top of it that is skill related, requires your nervous system to handle a lot. There's a lot going on, and you're, again, still haven't fully recovered. And jump roping, this block's going to flow really, really well. So I think it's like one of those ones on the surface that doesn't look overly challenging, but then when you get into the nitty gritty of it, like, you're just taxed in ways you didn't necessarily plan on. And I'll let you guys figure that out. I have a lot of ideas in my head of what's going to happen here, but you're going to do 2 minutes of the farmer's carries. You can do 8+ shuttles. So I left it open-ended. Mainly because, everybody chooses different weights. If you go too light, people are flying around the room. They never have to take breaks. You might get through 10, 12, 14 shuttles in that 2 minutes. And if you really challenge your weight, you might be having to take breaks constantly. That's really going to affect the volume you could get in terms of shuttles. But 8 at a minimum. If it fits you better based off the weight you chose, or maybe you want to go lighter and just work on moving a little bit quicker with good form, of course, you can go up and over 8. But either way, you need to give yourself wiggle room to transition into the next thing. So everybody's going to do the farmer carries together, and then half the group or half the class will go to the bike, and half the class will stay jump roping. And then after the second round, you guys will flip-flop. If you went to the bike, you'll jump rope. If you jump rope, you go to the bike. And then everybody will come back to the farmer's carry together. So the start of every round, everybody will be doing the farmer carries together. And it's 4 rounds total. So you'll do 4 rounds of each of these in order. So farmer's carry, jump rope, bike, farmer's carry, jump rope, bike, farmer's carry, jump rope, bike, et cetera, et cetera. And hopefully that makes sense. I thought there'd be a little bit of confusion on this workout on both sides. But again, that's a bunch of the little nitty gritty stuff, that I'm thinking about when I'm programming these, and hopefully it plays out the way I thought.